boy Edward came in, and every 2 weeks, he gets the number 8 to even out the top. Like a high taper, but not too high. First, we have the StyleCraft Mythic with the Filthy Blends bracket. I find that using the deep tooth cutter blade on the Mythic works a little better. It's a phenomenal machine so far. And we're also gonna use the StyleCraft Saber. This machine is crazy. Both of these tools have a discount code that will save you 20%. You can use the discount code TitoCuts, and you can use my discount code Tito10 to save 10% on the Tomb 45 triple cartridge racer.
Damn it, Tito. Another one?
So we'll start this tutorial off with the number 8 guard. I'll be using the purple guard system that is made for Andis blades, because like I mentioned earlier, I'm using the bracket to cut with this master blade. So it'll take a few passes. Edward does have hair that lays down pretty flat, so you gotta make sure you get it from every angle to make sure you don't leave any loose hairs behind. But just take your time. We're gonna run the 8. Also, always make sure to cut against the grain with this texture here, so that way you can get a nice even finish. So if that's your goal, you'll notice I comb the hair back down into place, and I cut directly in the opposite direction that the hair grows. So again, just against the grain means that if the hair wants to lay down, going downwards, I'm gonna lay it down in that direction, and I'm gonna cut exactly in the opposite direction, always towards the crown, which is that tornado in the back of everyone's head, right, where our hair spins out of. Now that his hair is pretty much all even with that number 8 guard, we're gonna reduce the hair length in the areas where I'm gonna be fading him and where I'm gonna be edging him up. So in the nape area and this taper area, right along the hairline behind his ears, we're gonna take that number 4. It's really like a 4.5. You see how my lever is open? And this is just to remove a little bit of bulk, so that way when we go in to do our edge and our guidelines for the fade, it's gonna take nice and easy. I'm gonna start my fade not with the trimmer, how most of you YouTubers are going to cut. I'm gonna use my clipper close. It's with a purpose, because it's gonna be much easier to remove that clipper close line. It'll make full sense when you start seeing how I'm gonna approach the blend. So I'm gonna do my clipper close all the way around. If you don't put in a hard line, there's no hard line to take out. Does that make sense to everybody? We also are gonna go back to that method where I was debulking with the 4. I'm gonna debulk a little bit with that 4.5 right along his edge. I'm gonna suggest that you explain this to your clients before you do it, because if he's like, I wanted an 8 on top, why are you cutting my front with a 4? Just explain that you need to reduce the bulk a little bit, so that way when you put in that nice sharp line, and that's the key word, they want to hear that, they'll understand that the line is going to take a little bit better. See, this is where I'm going to come in now with my trimmers, and I'm going to go ahead and start balding it out really nice and tight underneath where I did my clipper closed. While you have the trimmer in your hand, let's go ahead and be efficient. We have the trimmer in our hand, let's go ahead and do everything that we need to with that trimmer before we put it down. That's going to include tightening up the edge on the nape around the ear. We're going to move over to his front edge in a moment. Still, while we have the trimmer in our hand, let's tackle the front edge. I was taught that the best way to do the edge, and I still recommend it, is to just tap the very middle of it. Make your first incision in the middle and work your way directly out to the left. Alright, just keep in mind you don't want to push this edge too far in. Work your way to the corner, and then when you turn your trimmer to the side to go ahead and cut in the temple, I recommend that you angle that line directly towards the orbital bone, which is the eye socket bone. Repeat the same for the right side. Go straight out to the right, make adjustments as needed, and now you can use your shaver to bald out underneath that trimmer level. We're gonna get into the fading method, and it's gonna be something you've never seen before, so stay with me. This is how you approach my fading method. Now leave your lever closed the whole time. Go up a little bit with your 0 guard. Keep the lever closed. Go in with your 1 guard, raise it a little bit. Keep that lever closed, put your 2 guard, raise it a little bit more. This is something totally new. I was just playing around and it seemed to work pretty good. Still, have your lever closed, put your number 3 on. So it's like you don't have to think about it. You're gonna go through every guard with it closed, and when you get to the top of the blend, open that guard, use that number 3. Remember, it's gonna blend perfectly into the 4 that we debulked with. And now we're gonna walk it back down. I'm going from that 3 open. Now I'll put the 2 back on there, the 2 open. Shave away just a few hairs at a time. I've got my 1 open. Shaving away just a few more hairs at the time. And then after this, I'm gonna switch it to my 0 open. The simplest way I can explain this fading system is you're walking your guards closed on the way up, and you're walking them open on the way back down. I thought of this because I'm thinking, okay, why is it that we said in some guidelines with the lever open, but other ones with it closed? I'm like, essentially every length of hair needs to be cut, right? I thought this, well, let me just go straight for that. I'm gonna rock them closed all the way up and rock it open all the way back down. When you get to that very bottom bald line, remember we started this fade in the closed position, so you can touch it up one more time at that closed position, click it open, because this StyleCraft Mythic, it has those click levers. Tap the line, click it open, tap the line, click it open again. Little by little, you're raising it higher and higher. And finally, when you get to this position where it's all the way open, you can tilt the clipper on its side and start breaking up those little clumps of hair that give you dark spots. I think it's a pretty efficient system. Of course, I'm still always working to find the perfect fading system, but I think if you really need to switch things up and you feel like you need a little change, give it a shot. Tell me what you guys think about that. I'm really curious to see your thoughts on this fade system, and if you think it can help you, because I mean it's a completely mindless process to me. You know, every once in a while I'm still trying to find that perfect fade system, but this one worked pretty good. And I've used this method on fades and on blowouts. Look, 0 close, 1 close, 2 close. I think this is a 3 closed. Yep, follow the same system. We went closed all the way up and open all the way down. Open it with that 3, open 2, open 1, and then the open 0. So same process. You're just detailing, you're setting your guidelines up. It's like you fade up, you fade up and you blend down. You know, you work your way up and then you work your way back down. And you know, right here, like I said, 1 notch, 2 notches, 3 notches, 4 notches, and then 5 notches. So by the time you're all the way open, now you can just tilt that clipper a little on the side and start knocking out those dark spots. What do you guys think? Let me know. As I mentioned before, also, you're going to see me put a lot of work in with the Tomb 45 razor. You'll see how the blade sticks out just a little bit at the tip. That's the medium exposure. They give you 3 different cartridges. One that'll give you a real slim blade, a medium exposure blade, and then the maximum exposure blade. The one that sticks the blade out the most, it is a little bit intimidating. I definitely wouldn't use that on anyone who has blemishes or pimples on their skin. But I choose to use the medium exposure blade because it's totally fine doing bulk shaving, right? I haven't had any problem doing bulk shaving with it. And since the blade is exposed a bit, it helps you also single out certain hairs, which is great when you're detailing the inside of someone's goatee, when you're detailing their eyebrows. It is the most versatile razor in the market to me. The only other thing I could think of is if there's maybe a dial that you can turn that would adjust the exposure by itself. That's all I can think of that would make the razor a little bit more official. I'm sorry, a little bit more efficient is the word. Also lately I've been using the Dorco Prime blades. They seem to work really well. I used to like the Derby Premium single edge blades because, again, in my brain I was thinking efficiencies. You know, if I already have a blade that's pre-cut, maybe that'll save me a little more time, but I like the quality of the Dorco blades much more than I do the Derbys. You know, because yeah, maybe it's quicker just to use that single edge blade, but if it dulls out too soon, you know, after me detailing the hair, what about when I get to the beard? That Dorco Prime, very rarely do I have to change the blades. So I think I'll be sticking with those for the meantime. Now, the way that I do enhancements, especially on his hair, you can see when the light's a little too bright, there are some spots that the hair shines through to the scalp, right? I usually get a kick out of my clients when I do this, but remember, I'm in a private suite, so it's a private setting, just me and him. I will enhance the edge, but I'm also going to use my air compressor to expose where their hair is thinning, and I'm gonna enhance under the hair as well. It's, you know, like I said, I have a private suite, so they don't feel any kind of way. It's just me and them. I already know how their hair grows. Also, to make sure every need of my client is met, I do a more thorough enhancement while lifting the hair from the scalp and applying color at the skin where the hair grows thinner. This is something too that gets a lot of barbers. I've experienced it myself. Make sure that when you remove that cape, please take the time to shave everything that grows underneath. Your clients who grow really thick beards, you can only imagine the hair that grows at the bottom of their neck too. Make sure you get all of that. The trimmer here, of course, it's a really sharp cutting trimmer, and it's sensitive to the skin. So I'm not afraid to take that above the eyelid, so that way I can catch extra flyaways from the eyebrows. Remember, your razor is only going to catch so much. So, you know, again, it's just, I want to give him a nice, thorough job. He pays a premium price for a premium haircut. So I'm going to make sure every detail is met. Every expectation is exceeded. Even though he didn't really need it, it wasn't too unruly, but I'm gonna take care of my clients in any way that I can. And I saw his mustache was starting to come over his lip, just a few hairs, so I decided to go ahead and tighten that up. You know, I'm gonna flip it over and clean up the top of his mustache. He likes to keep a nice slim mustache, real clean looking. So look, these are the kind of details that are gonna get people talking about you. Again, being thorough with the enhancement, now I'm taking a bristle brush and I'm brushing over what I applied earlier with the enhancement, because I want it to have a more natural finish. I want it to blend in better with his skin. You know, you can see there's no shininess, right? But it's because we paid attention to those details. So tell me what you guys think, man. This is the finished product of the cut. Don't forget to like, share, comment your feedback. I'm always looking to improve, so let me know how I can serve you better on this platform. The last thing that I'm doing is with the Sani Duster. I'm gonna clean them up, but this is a much more sanitary option to your regular one, because look, I'm gonna drop that bristle attachment off into my barbicide and move on to my next Sani Duster attachment. The discount code for that product is also Tito Cuts. Have a good day, you guys.
Damn it, Tito.